Gardiner MacDougall is one of the most successful coaches in the history of Canadian hockey. During his 24 seasons as head coach of the UNB Reds, he won an incredible 9 university sport national championships, tying the all-time record in Canadian university hockey. He also led the program to over 490 regular season wins and a dozen AUS conference championships, building one of the greatest dynasties in Canadian university sports. MacDougall has also found success at the junior level and international levels. He won the Memorial Cup with the St. John Sea Dogs in 2022, captured the Gilles Courteau Trophy with the Moncton Wildcats in 2025, and helped lead Canada to gold at the IIHF U18 World Junior Championship. Today on Coach Stubbs, we're excited to welcome one of the greatest hockey minds in the game. Thanks for being here today, Gardiner.
Yes, Charlie. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. What first inspired you to get into coaching?
I was brought up in a small little village in PEI called Badek, PEI. And when you get a passion for hockey, as most people in PEI do, and you follow along the game, obviously you play, but you always have the dream sometime of maybe being coaching, and probably helped out my little community. I went 5 years university, then went to Western Canada as a physical education teacher, and then just evolved and getting the opportunity to coach full time at a place called Frontier Collegiate in Cranberry, Portage, Manitoba, back in mid 1980s.
Yeah. You've coached at the minors, university, major, junior, and international levels. Can you walk us through your journey and key moments that shaped your career?
How long do you have? No, I was fortunate to get started in the province of Manitoba. Cranberry Portage was a residential school up near Flin Flon, Manitoba, mostly Native or Aboriginal kids. And I spent 4 years there and had tremendous experiences. Had a lot of successful players and a lot of successful teams there. Went to the Flin Flon Bombers, an assistant coach. Then with a good friend, Brad McEwen, who now with Vegas of the National Hockey League as one of their scouts and longtime Western Hockey League coach and general manager, teamed up with an expansion team called the Labret Eagles just outside Regina, Saskatchewan. After that, started an expansion franchise in the Paw, Manitoba called the OCN Blizzard, which was a tremendous experience and really changed my life. Getting the opportunity to start at the grassroots with no players and to build a team, and we're fortunate to go to the final our first year and win the Manitoba Junior Championship our third year, and then had the opportunity after a year off to decide which level to coach. Came to the University of New Brunswick and was really fortunate to spend 24 years at a tremendous university and obviously to grow a tremendous hockey program. And then the last 2 years have been really, really fortunate to work with Mr. Robert Irving and tremendous staff, along with my son as a general manager here with the Moncton Wildcats.
Yeah. For someone who dreams of coaching at the highest level one day, what steps or experiences are the most important early on in their coaching journey?
I think the biggest thing is for people that are interested in coaching is you have to have a love of the game. That's the key factors. You have to have a love, and then you have to have a purpose that you're trying to make a difference with other people. So a lot of coaches will start with minor hockey with young players, and your goal is to try to make a difference in their development as people first of all, and then as hockey players next. And it's a long journey. You've got to work through it. There's the paths of coaches are varied here in our staff. We have a terrific staff here. A guy like Dougie Dowell, who played in the National Hockey League, and then got into coaching at the university level as an assistant coach, coached in the Maritime Junior Hockey League as a head coach, and now works as our power play specialist and assistant coach here in Moncton. A guy like Kelsey Tessier, who had another real strong professional background, drafted by Colorado Avalanche. Played 12 years of pro hockey at the American Hockey League and high levels, and got the opportunity to move back to Moncton, and is skills development, and one of our coaches specialize in skill development. And then you got a guy, Antoine Samuel, who started his career at 21 years old, just after finishing up his major junior career. He'd been to 5 NHL camps as an elite goaltender. Was going to play university hockey, had a fairly serious injury, and decided to concentrate on coaching. So there's different paths for every player at our level, but in the minor hockey, a lot of times people have interest. I would have started probably coaching about 14 years old with the second Bantam team, or under 14 team, I guess it would be, in our little community. And you kind of have a passion. So there's a road for everyone, but I think the key is you got to love the game, and when you love something, you'll find different ways to get better and connect with the people you're coaching.
Okay. In your opinion, what separates a great coach from just a good coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be who you are, and to be who you are, you probably have to have a lot of different experiences with different coaches, and you're going to become your own coach. But I think there's so much information out now for coaching. When I first started in coaching, there would be one hockey conference in Canada called the Roger Nielsen Hockey Conference, and there's maybe 3 or 4 books. Don McAdam is a good mentor of mine from Prince Edward Island. He's wrote, I believe, 6 different books on hockey, but the information on hockey wasn't plentiful at that time. Now there's so much information that you can with AI and the resources and things like that, you can get so much information. So a coach starting out now, you're way ahead as far as knowledge and getting information, but then it's getting the opportunity to be a coach or be an assistant coach and try this in reality at practice and in games.
Yeah. How did you develop your coaching philosophy, and how has it evolved through your career?
I think part of it is how I played the game of hockey, and so a big part of it's going to come from playing career. A lot of times coaches that you've had, and then I think just being associated, going to hockey conferences. I was lucky when I started in Manitoba. I'm from PEI originally, so every summer I'd come back. I started Dougie McLean's hockey camp, start to work with those. And Doug was an NHL coach, had just left the University of New Brunswick and made his debut with the St. Louis Blues with Jacques Martin in St. Louis. And then he went to the Washington Capitals with Brian Murray. So I was fortunate to work his hockey camps and get a lot of knowledge and information from him at that time. I had good friends in Ontario, so I probably was lucky as a coach to go to conferences in Western Canada, come back to PEI. Doug ran a number of conferences that I would attend. And then I had really good friends in Ontario, so I probably got to see the game from the eyes of people in Western Canada, where I was living and coaching at that time, in Atlantic Canada, where I was brought up, and then in the province of Ontario, with having a number of real good friends in that area. So I was lucky to be able to probably a hybrid of different things that worked in all 3 different regions, and then you'll figure out what works for you as you evolve in your career. And then I think you're watching watch the National Hockey League and the great coaches that are in there, and you see different systems and different plays and how coaches handle. Early mentors of mine would have been people like Roger Nielsen, who was ahead of his time probably at that time. A guy like Sean Walsh at the University of Maine, unfortunately passed away very sudden, but had tremendous, unprecedented success in a small little spot in just outside of Bangor, Maine. With the University of Maine Black Bears at that time. Mike Keenan was a very successful coach, and Scotty Bowman. These people that you reach out, you find what makes them successful. So I think those help, but eventually you have to find your own path.
Yeah. Your team at the University of New Brunswick had a remarkable perfect season. What were the biggest factors that made that team so special?
First of all, you have to have special people. Certainly the players that are most important, and you have to have a special staff. So our staff at UNB were together for over 10 years, so you got continuity, and everyone had their role and did a really good job of their role. So I think that was really important, but a really special group. We had a lot of, you win 9 national championships, you have a lot of special teams, a lot of special players, and we have 3 silver medals. That was a fine line. 2 of those lost in overtime at the national final. But this was a group of specialists. It's not easy to go back to back. There's a lot of competition. You got to have things you go your way. So, we're very healthy all year. Our group was in very good shape, and they just were had a real purpose. They wanted to do something special and to be uncommon. So I think that group had a real love of the game. And we practiced at 3:00 every day. Most of the group was probably in the dressing room between noon hour and 1:00. They just liked to hang around one another. They really enjoyed the camaraderie, and they pushed one another to be better. And in the key moments, they seemed to play their best hockey. So it was indeed a real special group.
Okay. When your team falls behind early, maybe down 2 or 3 goals in the first period, how do you manage the bench and help players refocus on a comeback?
Well, it's a good question. Fortunately, it hasn't happened that often, but it can happen. And you like to be good starts. I think they do statistics. The team that scores the first goal in various leagues, but you're probably move the meter to 60 to 70% of having success in that game if you score first. So we put a lot of emphasis on being ready to play right away and trying to get opportunities. I had a good friend of mine, and it was the video coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, had worked with Andrew Brewer, had worked with me, and coached with Mike Babcock. And Mike Babcock had his theory was 10 and 10, 10 shots in the opening 10 minutes. And usually shooting percentage are somewhere, on a decent team are 15 to 18% of your shots. So his theory was if you have 10 shots, there's a good chance one of them is going to go in the first 10 minutes. So you try to get the lead. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. You often talk about the mindset just getting started. Can you explain what that means and how it impacts your team?
JGS is an acronym we've used for several years now. Both coaching, but also I get to talk to a lot of different groups, business groups, or hockey teams, or conferences and things like that. And JGS is just getting started, and really we're all just getting started. We have no control what's already been achieved in your life, the good or the bad, and we have no idea what the future can bring. That's unpredictable. And so just getting started is trying to be in the moment and being the absolutely best. Along with JGS goes BEST, which would be the short form for better every single time. And again, it's hockey related, but it's really life related. If you have the attitude of being your best today, you try to make that the best day of the week. Could be the best day of the month. Hopefully, it could be the best day of the year. And if you're really on a hot streak, it could be the best day of your life. And been fortunate to have teams that have experienced the best days of their life, and have worked through. You talk about the UNB team that went undefeated. Usually, that's 33 weeks, over 100 practices. At that time, they had put a cap on our exhibition games. Usually, we'd have 10 or 15 exhibition games, but at 43-0. They had the opportunity to experience the best day of their life when they won the national championship in a 4-0 victory at the national final at the old Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Ontario. So, so that's just more of a mentality to try to be your absolute best every single day.
Yeah. As a head coach, what's more important than the X's and O of the game, or keeping players motivated and confident?
I think the biggest thing as a coach is building your culture and your team. There's a successful coach in the NFL that, he said the culture will beat scheme any day. So you can have a lot of talent. You can have a great team philosophy, team systems, but your foundation has to be your team culture. So we spend a lot of time at the University of New Brunswick, 24 years, you kind of figure out what works and growing your team and providing a high performance mindset. And here in Moncton, we've been really fortunate in our first year to be able to, they have that mindset of continuous getting better, and we establish a good culture. But it all goes back to the people. It always goes back to the players, and you try to find the best people, and you try to turn them into the best players.
Yeah. In your opinion, what are the 3 most important skills young players should focus on developing?
Yeah, I mean, the game is fast nowadays, so I think before that, though, I think the number one skill is work ethic. And I think there's 3 parts of a work ethic. There's one is your smarts, so your hockey smarts, learning to play the game the right way and know where the puck is and that type of stuff. I think there's an intensity level. The second component of work ethic is you've got to play fast the way the game is nowadays. And the third part is, the grit. There's a lot of contested pucks in the game of hockey. There's a lot of one-on-ones. I think they did a study on a 40-second shift in the National Hockey League, and there's somewhere between 6 to 10 races or one-on-one battles in a 40-second shift. So that's a lot of battles. That's a lot of races in a game of hockey. So I think so the number one skill would be your work ethic. Number 2, I think just because the game is fast, you're skating, and then obviously puck skills after that. But I think you'd probably tie them all together as just hockey sense, and the hockey smarts is a key component as well.
Yeah. For young players watching this interview, what habits off the ice make the biggest difference in long-term success?
I think I'll go back to what I talked about. The first question is love. Got to enjoy to love the game. And it doesn't really matter, you could be playing, the 12-year-old rec team, or you're an under 18, the AAA under 18 team. I think you've got to enjoy if at your recreational level and you have hockey 1 or 2 times a week. I think you want to really love being there the 1 or 2 times a week. Obviously, if you're on the ice every day at the AAA level, whether it's under 14 or under 16, I think it still goes back that you really enjoy the game and you have joy coming out the game. I think that's the biggest thing, is that when you love something, you'll go the extra mile. You'll put extra time into practicing. You'll put extra time into watching, and you'll put extra time into your fitness and all that type of thing. So to me, that would be the most important, is to get the love of the game, and then everything will follow after that.
Yeah. What are your 2 favorite zone entries, and what makes that so effective?
Yeah, I mean, we like to play fast. So I think with a zone entry, a lot of times would start where you turn the puck over. So I think you start in your D zone. We're aggressive in the D zone. Anything in the neutral zone, I think we would call, a lot of times we would go, let's say if we turn the puck over here, if our D, we're just going weak side as much as possible. So a lot of times it would go D to D. We probably eliminated the D to D now, and we just go, we have our wingers come through the dots. They don't post up here, so it could be a play here. These just going indirect off the boards. This guy's going to pick it up. We always have a drive. This guy's going with a puck here, and then we're just in the dot lane here. So it's fairly simple, but it's also very effective. And this weak side D would join here. Okay, so if you're looking at that, it's a wide drive, a net drive here. This guy stays dot lane, and the D will find the open space. And a lot of times you'll find this pass here is opened. It could be a shot here, and then a rebound here, and then you got people converging the net. Yeah. So that would be something we do as much as possible.
What types of offensive zone forechecks do you prefer, and why?
Yeah, we don't have a lot. We were interviewed. We were at Thunder Bay at the national championships, and we're playing University of Alberta Golden Bears. We're the 2 number 1 ranked teams in the country that particular year. And our top player, Hunter Trombley, was out with a high ankle sprain, and we had a 5-1 lead in Alberta in the opening game of the tournament. We had lost in the AUS final, so we were pegged number 6 instead of number 1. But the Sportsnet were doing the games, or excuse me, TSN were doing the games at that time, and they asked this forecheck, it looked like you got an extra guy on the ice, and we called it the flex knee. And it's very basic, but it's all efficient. So if the puck is into this corner here, that marker works. I think part of forecheck, get a marker that works a little better. Part of forecheck is puck placement. And you want to find pucks somewhere in this area here, sometimes in this area here, certainly here. A lot of times people put it there. This is a difficult spot behind the net, the forecheck, so I think your puck placement, where you want to put the puck, a lot of teams will just soft chip or self chip and try to beat a D here. Anytime there's a contested puck in this, we would just try to have an F1, and we'd have an F2, and we'd have an F2. So we'd have one F1, two F2s. Yeah. And flex need, you just got to work. We'd have keys for, young kids is extended stick. All you're trying to do is create a bobble here. There's a physicality element. I think the puck is the priority first. Obviously, if you can make physicality, that's a key part of it. But if you can make a battle here, then you can bring this guy in. There's your triangle there. So you get two guys. Hopefully, you're going to win the puck. This guy's going to find here. So a lot of times, if you win it, there's your shot right away in your triangle. If they beat the forecheck, then we're sending this guy down. We're sending this guy across. We're sending this guy back. So I think one of the first things I learned probably 40 years ago and how to coach hockey is triangles. And, you're going to find triangles with the puck, and you're going to find triangles without the puck. And you got to work at forming triangles. But that's a really basic forecheck, but it works. It's very efficient. I mean, we'll do some pre-scouts and, where do teams, if they break out certain end, and we'll put these F2s maybe different places. But that's really our philosophy. And I think for coaches, you want to have this philosophy here. You want to have it in the neutral zone, and your D zone is somewhat similar.
What kind of neutral zone forecheck do you find most effective in today's game?
I mean, that's coaches spend a lot of time on how to forecheck in the neutral zone, that type of thing. So I think it depends. If the D are facing you, we'd probably go 1-2-2, which is again very basic. You're going to try to push, make them move the puck up this way. You're going to have to hold here, and you're going to have to hold here. And you try to, anytime you want to try to put the other team to, take the time and space away and make them get rid of the puck. So that's very, if, we spot a puck here, we're going to have here, and they come across, and he's got his back turned, then we're going to send two. We like to play high pressure, and the kids like that. That's the only way you're going to get better is being pressure instead of sitting back, but at different levels. But I think, if you got young teams, I think you want to try to pressure as much as you can. Maybe you call it 1.5. One guy goes, one guy's halfway. If it goes D to D, he comes down. But if you watch Moncton, we'll probably have a little bit more 1-2-2 now.
In the defensive zone, what coverage do you prefer? For example, box +1, man-to-man, or other structures? And what are the key principles behind it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at successful teams. Like, I was fortunate to be part of the World Juniors this year, and the London Knights with the Hunters, who are in the top organization in the CHL for 20 years now, and they do a tremendous job. And they play man to man, they're very aggressive. And it was the first time as a coach I've used that, with the World Juniors. We probably be more layers through the years. It's just a lot of pressure, but a lot of layers. So if a layer, let's say a puck is contested here, hopefully you have a D1 as your first layer. Hopefully your first forward, hopefully it's the center, is going to be in here as your second layer. Up here, your wingers, on here, there's your third layer. Anything here. Sometimes he's going to be on the wall. Sometimes he's going to be here. Depends where the puck is. If the puck is on the wall, he's going to take that away. If the puck's off the wall, we're probably going to place him here. Your D2 is going to be this layer here, protecting off the front post here. And then you're going to have your other... you're going to have your offside winger in this area here. So again, you're going to have a layer, a layer, a layer, a layer, and there's a layer. And my first year of coaching many, many years ago, that was called, that comes out, it was called the arrowhead defense. So if anyone's into archery and that type of thing, and we've changed some things from there, but the principles remain the same. So we'll have a layer of a pucks here. We'll have the same thing. We'll have a winger here, put pressure. Our center be underneath here. D off the post, D here, and then you're going to have your offside guy sag back here. So again, a lot of times from a point shot, we would expect we'd hope not many point shots will get through to our net ideally. So that principle, wherever the puck is, we'd probably call it layers.
If you could pick players from any era, what would your all-time starting lineup be? 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and 1 goalie.
Yeah, I probably have too many good players to have a starting 5. I've been really fortunate. My time in Western Canada, I had a lot of good players, more at the junior, but I had coached the under-17 program there, so we had 8 guys that went on to the National Hockey League off that team. I was fortunate to coach Jordan Tutu for 1 season as a 15-year-old playing junior hockey, and he'd still be one of my all-time favorites, and obviously had an illustrious NHL career and very popular NHL career. The University of New Brunswick, a lot of great players there. I've mentioned Hunter Tromley, the Rob Hennekers, Chris Cullig, Kyle Bailey. I could go on. And then here in Moncton, although it's only been 2 years, obviously, to have the top 4, number 4 draft selection in the world, to be able to privilege to coach him for 2 years here in Moncton and with the World Juniors and also with the under-18, Caleb Desnoyers got a really promising future in front of him as well. So, we've been fortunate. Our team in St. John, we had the 39-day miracle, some people call it, but we had some great performances there too. And we've coached at the World Juniors now as the superstars of the future. Your Gavin McKenna's and those players. So, I'd need time, and I'd need more than a starting 5 probably.
Thank you for the interview, Gardiner.
Yeah, great questions, Charlie boy.
Thank
You're getting lots of information here.